I don't know how I came across the pictures of like judges. There are judges still today in many countries that wear fake wigs.
Still?
Yeah, like you know how back in the founding fathers days, there's pictures of everybody with a fucking fake ass
like
wig on,
white,
powdered wig.
Yeah,
exactly
wig
like
with,
that.
Like the curls on the side.
Places around the world right now the judges still do that. First of all, like every country still has the judges wearing a robe.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
I don't get it. Yeah, what's the purpose of the robe?
This is why I wanted to talk about this. It's like, when you really think about it, why do they have the powdered wigs? Why do they have the robes? It all goes back to simply tradition. Like, they're doing it because their parents' generation did it, and because their parents' generation did it.
Yeah.
But how the fuck did the powdered wig thing start? Did somebody just say, hey, you look much wiser when you're wearing a powdered fucking wig?
That could be true.
So now wear a wig all the time when you're making decisions. Is that, I mean, and also, how stupid does that show that humans are? That, like if we go into a courtroom, if the guy sitting up there is wearing, like, a normal clothes, we go, well, I can't listen to him. He's wearing a T-shirt. Why would I ever listen to him? But if we look up there and there's a guy wearing a goofball robe and a freakish powdered wig, which is obviously fake, then we go, oh, well, I must listen to him now.
We gotta take this guy serious.
Like, doesn't that show that, and maybe I'm going a little too far here, I don't know, but doesn't that show that it's probably the case that for humans, like, a majority of our brain is still this ape brain? Because you know how apes work? Like, when there's, like, or like, certain predators, like big cats, how if there's, like, a dominant one in the group, you're supposed to just, like, sacrifice everything for the dominant one.
Yeah.
You're supposed to just, like, give the dominant one, like, you know, walk up with your berries or your apples or whatever and just be like, here.
Because they're, like, the most powerful.
Right, and they put their head down and they're like, here, like, take this. Like, that's what we do now, except we do it in a way where we've rationalized it to pretend like we're smart, but we're not smart. We're fucking idiots. Because that's, I mean, nothing pisses me off more than tradition for tradition's sake. Like, it's one thing if you have a tradition and it's fun and it's interesting and you can explain why it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's another thing if you just do something for the sake of doing it, and when somebody presses you on it, like, hey, man, why do you do this? Like, if you had to explain it to aliens who are just looking at people, hey, man, why do these guys wear wigs? Yeah, why do they wear wigs? Like, they wouldn't be able to answer, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's like, I mean, I got two things on it, totally different things. One's Allen Iverson, and one's my friend who's Jewish who keeps kosher. And, like, so I'll ask him, well, here's one. I'll ask someone who's just dumb and, like, keeps kosher. I'm like, why do you keep kosher? Well, I don't know, man. I'm Jewish, and my father does, and my grandfather did. So I don't even know. I just can't mix that, like, chocolate milk with this cheeseburger. I'm just like, that's a good reason. But then I'll ask, like,
thanks, man. They think you're serious.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But then I'll ask, like, my boy who's, like, mad chill, and I'll be like, you know, why do you keep kosher? And he's like, well, you know, my grandfather kept kosher, like, in the Holocaust times, and, like, and, you know, if he was
connected, if
he was able to do it for that long, and, like, for whatever reason, like, I don't know the reasons. I sort of just zone people out when they start telling me some, like,
the first three sentences, this is bullshit, so, and then you ignore them.
Some, like, legit answer when I'm supposed to be paying attention, and I just don't. But, like, he has, like, a legit reason, and he's like, I gotta wait a half an hour before I can do this and that. I'm like, all right, I respect you because you actually know why you're doing it, whereas someone else who doesn't know why they're doing it is just doing it. I just lose total respect for them because it's like, you're just an idiot.
Yeah, but see, I think I'm a little bit even a bigger dick than you, because if somebody gives me a reason that sounds good but it's still bullshit at its core,
really,
I think, oh my God, you're, like, over rationalizing. Like, you've convinced yourself of something that you really know isn't true. Like, there's nothing to it, but you're doing it anyway. Like, there was...
you give them respect for that? I feel
no,
like...
I don't.
You don't.
I don't. So there was this kid who, I won't say his name, but I know him through a friend, and somehow the topic of religion came up, and he was just like, yeah, you know, I mean, I go to church and stuff, and he's our age, like 26 years old, and it's clear that he's more of like an agnostic guy. Like, he doesn't know if there's a God, or if he believes in a God. It's just a deistic type belief. It's not like let me tell you the specifics about God. And he's a smart guy. And then when I was just, oh, that's interesting, why do you go? He's like, well, you know, it's in the family, and I was raised with it. It's like, but why don't you want to stop and think and reevaluate? Like, that whole idea of, and Joe Rogan introduced me to this theory, and I never really thought of it before. The whole idea of operating off of momentum, that since a previous generation did X, you just do X. It's a great way of describing it. Momentum, like they're going super fast in one direction, and then you're born into this massive fucking crazy situation, and you're like, well, I guess I just have to adopt whatever they do. Yeah. And it's hard for people to distinguish shit that they do that actually makes sense and shit that they do that doesn't make sense. Like eating, like it's a biological necessity. You got to eat, and you might like certain types of food over others. Like you can explain to somebody exactly why you're eating a certain food or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like people have, for whatever reason, have trouble telling apart that from something that we do that just doesn't make any fucking sense that we still do, like the powdered wigs in the courtroom, where people they just accept it. Like that's something weird about people. Like it's so easy for things to become the new normal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and think about the perfect example of this. I know I always go back to this, but different political regimes around the world, whether it's communist Russia, so the Soviet Union with Stalin, or Nazi Germany. Like, people were fucking doing the most hideous, atrocious crimes in human history, and they would just go home at night and kiss their daughters and, like, tuck them into bed and talk to their wives like it's like nothing.